And you killed string bean in a robbery. Little did you know as you ran away. The cashier after was stashed in play. Oh, poor string bean as you heard him say. Oh yeah, time to pull the wig down. Now my boss from the rest of his life. Oh, life can change with the tap of your boot. Oh, some things are poor and others are home. Oh, I don't care if you work at a church. I don't care if you pray and sell. The things you do me after one day. Long when the ghost of life just lay. Oh, poor string bean as you heard him sing. Oh yeah, time to pull a wig down. Now I'm boss from the rest of his life. It don't take long, change many a thing. Like the way they whisper and the way they stare. The way an outcast, none but time to spare. Oh, poor string bean as you heard him sing. Oh yeah, time to pull a wig down. Now I'm boss from the rest of his life. And you killed string bean in a robbery. Little did you know as you ran away. The cashier after was in the fireplace. I don't want your pity, I don't want your grace. On a long day, just when I think I found my happy place, I get snapped back and everything aches. I thought things were looking better, but then the weather well it took a spin, and I'm face down in the mud without my shitting grin. I don't want your pity, I don't want your grace. Another long day, just when I think I found my happy place, I get snapped back and everything aches. Some things will come so easy, others it's a war. Do you take the natural or the disaster? Isn't that what adventure's for? I don't want your pity, I don't want your grace. Another long day, just when I think I found my happy place, I get snapped back and everything aches. To learn from mistakes and grow a new face while you put on your old dirty clothes. To take a bath in cold water and wonder why you're still so sore and alone. I don't want your pity, I don't want your grace. Another long day, just when I think I found my happy place, I get snapped back and everything aches. I get snapped back and everything aches. We're going about it all wrong, all wrong, all wrong. Going about it all wrong tonight. Oh my, please don't cry. Oh my, I'm saving the last bite. Oh my, please don't cry. Oh my,
Howdy, folks. Big Ed Barnham here from Big Ed Barnham's Bobble Barn and Garden with a very important message for you. I haven't locked in the focus or exposure of that camera yet because I'm a professional, doing things in a professional way, working a professional checklist. Hang on a second. Let me just get this in here. It's probably not a big deal, but I'm going to lock off the focus, so if I move around or do something weird, you don't have that weird, oh, I don't know what to focus on. And then I'm going to lock the exposure so that if the color temperature of something changes in the room, the camera also knows to hold it on this. Then I'm going to lock the white balance. Sorry, the exposure would have been, well, you folks know what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to put on my little tally light. Here it goes. Howdy, folks. Howdy, folks on Facebook there, Amy Adams and Randy Knickers. Glad to see you've either skipped church or left church immediately after the sermon to get home for real church. Church of Books. That's what I should just start calling this. Big Ed Barnum's Church of Books. Actually, I'm going to write that down. Because, there's nothing like taking valuable stream time, valuable viewer time, to write down a note. So here we go. Church. I need some progressive lenses. Because Church of Books. I should write a sermon. I'm going to do that next week. It's going to be a sermon. Professional what? That's right. That's it right on the head. You've hit the tack on the head. You've hit the nail on the head. You've hit the spike on the head. I don't know how many other hardware type things, nails, tacks, brads, have heads on them that you would strike. But you got it. Ooh, the ham's wobbling. My ham's wobbling over here. Folks, if your ham's wobbling, well, you're either doing something right or something real wrong. I said hello to the folks over there on Facebook, folks on Mixer. Thanks for joining as well. I know there might be some folks who are straggling today because it's South by Southwest going on, and I know some folks were probably out there late last night, as folks tend to do when they go to that. I gotta get over here on my aggregated stream. I'm seeing myself right here, and it's distracting because I can see myself right over here in the monitor, and then I was seeing myself here in the other mic check. There we go. Save the good stuff for after my haircut. Are you getting a haircut today, Randy, or is this somewhere further out in the timeline? My wrist hurts. I'm just going to say that. And Roger Adams, if you're watching, my wrist doesn't hurt for that reason. It hurts because I've been doing a bunch of thumb stuff with my phone. That hurts. That hurts real bad. Instead of, saying, if you don't leave that thing alone, you'll go blind, which is, what everybody tells us when we're growing up. They should just say, if you don't leave that thing alone, you're going to have a repetitive stress injury that's going to plague you into your 50s, and you're just going to be miserable all the time because your wrist hurts. Quit jacking it. Quit jacking it, kids. Glad you could join us. I just should make sure I'm 18 plus here on Mixer. I don't know why that would change, but I think that's from the other night, I think. Today, a couple things. Watchmen, chapter VII, or chapter 7, as the kids like to say. I've also got a couple of other things I'm going to talk about book-wise. When I started the book club, actually this is our 10th episode of Barnum Book Club, which if you pair that up with Summer America Barnum's Book Club for Ladies, that's 20 book club episodes that are available to you. Well, one of them's available to you right now live because you're watching it, but all the others are on the website. What website is that? Actually, I'm going to show this off for a second because I've spent a bunch of time over the last week getting this thing into shape. I'll take this off here for a second. The website was a little neglected, but it has finally become a place where you can come check out the archive of everything that we do here. In fact, here's like this past Thursday night's stream already on here, ready for you to go. Folks, I haven't calculated the number of hours of pure gold entertainment that await you should you dive into the full archive that is our website. I think it might be close to 100 hours. So, you know, if you've got to do, you know, a stretch in prison, and you know, you get an hour of study time each night that you can do whatever you want to with. I don't know I don't know what they would call it. Free time, maybe. You'd have a good solid, you know, 3 months of stuff to watch, which is great if your jail sentence is, you know, 3 months. But yeah, everything on the website is here. It's basically bigetbarnham.com. And everything we have done, with the exception of one video that I can't find. It's not on our backup device. I must have removed it from Facebook. I didn't grab the video on demand from Mixer. So everything we've ever done on video, well, except for the bad takes and that kind of stuff, everything we've ever done on video is on the website. You can go watch all of it. You can literally go watch all of it. Hey Goldie, thanks for the host. Nice to see that you're awake. I hope the partying at South by Southwest was reasonable and moderate, but that you had a good time as well. So that's the website. More on that later. Not later in this episode. More on that in a later stream, because we're going to be adding some stuff to the website in the run-up to our 5-year anniversary. That's right, folks. Let me get my thing here. Our 5-year anniversary stream is June 8, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's me and Cole Screaming Eagle Wilson. Streaming for 12 hours, which is going to present us with a few technical challenges that I'm pretty psyched to solve. We're going to be streaming a little bit from the back porch and the garden, which, since everything is on Ethernet, means I've got to make... Cole's got all kinds of whatever, Cat5 cable or whatever they're using these days. He can make us a cable as long as we want to. As long as the spool is, we can make a cable that long. So we've got to make probably a 100-foot Ethernet cable so that can run in here into the switch. We don't do anything over Wi-Fi because it's a little unstable. So we're going to have the garden cam and the grill cam, and it's quite possible that there might be something in the garden, although it's June 8. There's not a lot of things I'm going to plant that be coming up in June. Maybe some zucchini or something like that. Some squash. We'll find out. Cole is the technical advisor of the stream team, especially when it comes to connectivity and lighting and sound, which we've stripped everything down. We don't do a lot with sound. We have one microphone, and it is about 18 inches from my mouth right now. You know, as a microphone should be. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so for the June 8 stream, we will be in the garden for a little bit. We'll be in the on the back porch with the grill for a little bit. And so there's two problems. One, Facebook only lets you stream. I know they changed this recently, but I don't know the limits just yet. Facebook used to only let you stream 4 hours at a time before you had to break the stream and resume. So there's that. I think they've extended that. I don't know if it reaches out to a 12-hour period. So there's that. There's also the fact that if you watch us regularly, somewhere around the hour 10-minute mark, hour 15-minute mark, we lose audio, so we have to start and stop the stream there. And we're also, well, we're switching things off this iPad here, which is also recording the stream before it goes out. and it only has 16 gigs of hard disk space, so I think I got to either borrow or upgrade the iPad because we will run out of disk space. And I mean, we could just take a break of 30 minutes somewhere in the stream, but then it wouldn't be a 12-hour stream. So we got to figure that stuff out. Anyway, I'm babbling. That's stuff that we can cover. We can cover that in an email or a Discord post or any of the way that you folks really want to receive that quality, technical, behind-the-scenes information. I felt like grabbing the bottle of whiskey just now and just taking a big old plug off of it. And I know 4 people right now are probably saying, well why don't you? Because it's 10 a.m. here, 10, 11 a.m. here, and, you know, I would like to at least be awake for lunch today, since I was not very much awake for lunch yesterday. Goldie, I'm excited for this. Goldie, I'm excited for it too because I have 2 ideas to bring you into the stream, and I know you're traveling. I think you're traveling on June 8 when we're doing it. So I have a couple of ideas for some things that we could do to bring you into our June 8 stream. And Goldie, I know you know this, but so folks, last year, June 5, it was a Tuesday, I discovered Mixer for the first time, and the first 2 people that I watched for any length of time on June 5 were Goldie and Token, and they were streaming, they were rewatching Passions, the I think it's NBC soap opera. I hope nobody that at the day job's watching this. I canceled a meeting that afternoon so that I could continue watching Goldie and Token as they watched Passions, and I've been hooked on the 2 of them ever since then. I don't get to always watch their streams, but I think I'm on their streams once a day to at least say hello. So that's June 5 is my discovery date of Mixer and Goldie and Token and Adjective Beaver and What's the Hops and all those folks. And then June 8 is the actual anniversary date in which I purchased Johan and Johanna Van Voren, they're over there. You know who they are if you've watched any of our stuff. I picked the 2 of them up at a vintage secondhand shop, antique store, something like that. It's called Rerun. And I had an idea for this web series. I'd been kicking it around. Big Ed Barnham had been doing some stand-up as himself. I had been doing some stand-up as myself. There's a little weird fourth wall thing going on there. So I sat in the parking lot at Rerun with Johan and Johan Van Voren on the in the passenger seat, and I wrote the first episode of Big Ed Barnum's One of a Kind Find of the Week, and we literally shot that first episode the following weekend, and 5 other episodes that I had hastily scrabbled together. This is all stuff that we can talk about over the course of 12 hours, June 8. And I should probably tell my wife about that plan to do that. That we're just going to be acting like jackasses in the garage and in the back porch in the garden for 12 hours. I should really probably include her in that plan, just in case she has something she'd rather me be doing, so that I can, break it to her gently somehow. I don't know why I'm bringing the energy down. Hey, J-Man for Life. That's where I became a fan of Token. He is hilarious. He is. So thanks for joining us. We're going to be talking about Watchmen in a few minutes. So in this week's... so there's 2 things I want to talk about. Actually, I'm going to skip one. I'm going to do the other one first. And you don't know which one was which, so what do you care? So this is our 10th episode of Barnum Book Club. And when I first started it, I was like, I should, I read enough that I can do a book a week, whether it's something that I'm currently reading or something that I've just finished. And I'm glad I have mixed feelings about saying this. I just thought I heard something vibrating. I thought I heard something vibrating and I couldn't feel it. And then I thought, oh, I must be missing out. 10 episodes. And we started doing Watchmen. I'm glad we started doing Watchmen because as much as I'm crapping on it, it does have the broad feel of an epic in its own way. Yeah, she will say, isn't that what you always do? You do you. Never mind me. She'll say them differently than that. But the fact of the matter is I haven't read a single novel until this past week. I haven't read a single novel in the 10 weeks that we've been doing this live stream, which sort of, I don't know what's happening with that. I mean, there's a couple other projects that I'm writing at the moment, so reading has not been at the forefront. I guess I could get off this stupid 5-year anniversary thing here. And that title goes away. So I read a novel that I'd been thinking about reading for a couple weeks. It's called My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite, who is a Nigerian author. She lives in Lagos. And it's the title is a spoiler, and it tells you pretty much all you need to know going into this story. I think I got something pulled up here. Just as a bit of something or other. So, My Sister, the Serial Killer, takes place in Lagos. Lagos, I don't know if it's the biggest city in Nigeria, but I think there's 6 or 7 million people who live in the city itself, and then I think there's upwards of 15, 16 million people living in the Lagos is a city, and Lagos is also, I guess you would call it a state, is sort of the equivalent. And, you know, like a lot of large cities, you know, I don't know what population a city has to have before it gets its first serial killer, but Lagos, in this story, has a serial killer. And she's young and she's beautiful, and she has a sister that's a little bit older that takes care of her and cleans up after her. And none of that's a spoiler, because it happens on page 1. And then page 2 is, you know, well, the rest of the novel is just their relationship and how and why it's come to be what it is, and how the sister's trying to take care of her sister and protect her, and at the same time, you know, if you know your sister's a serial killer, and you're helping her clean up after the fact, you know, it's either a good thing that nobody ever finds out, or you try and, you know, cap it off, you know, try and end it. So it's a good little novel. You can probably read this novel in one sitting. In fact, when I went and looked at reviews of it after I finished it, one of the common complaints about the novel is that it really feels like a novella. Hey, what's the difference between a short story and a novella? I'm going to walk into a bar. I'm just going to walk into some dive bar. I'm going to drive to Nebraska. I'm going to drive to Nebraska when I get done here. And I'm going to go into the first dive bar and I see. And I'm going to say, hey, y'all, what in the hell's the difference between a short story and a novella? And then I'll probably pick a fight with somebody, because that's what you do in dive bars. Pick fights. Nobody's ever picked a fight with me in a dive bar. It's always some douchey, we're going to make you pay $15 for an old-fashioned that we fuck up, where somebody always wants to pick a fight with me for some reason. It's never a dive bar. It's never a place that's a dive bar or something that you might consider a honky-tonk or a dance hall or an Eagles Lodge or anything like that. Nobody ever wants to fight me there. It's always the douchey bars, the upscale bars. I don't know what that means. I know what upscale douchey bar means. I don't know what it means that's where. Maybe that's where my contempt for my fellow man That wasn't me farting. That was a motor passing by. It sounded very much like a fart. Anyway, My Sister the Serial Killer. It's a fun little story, because serial killing, it can be lighthearted and fun. It's also a lesson in don't tell your secrets to the comatose people under your care. That's not really a spoiler either, but anyway. Yankin Braithwaite, this is our first novel. I enjoy it, and yeah, it is. I'm just looking at the things here on the pulpy, peppery, and sinister. That makes me not want to recommend it, but that's the reviewer saying that. Served up in a comic deadpan. This scorpion-tailed little thriller leaves a response and a sting you will remember. That makes me think, never read the blurbs. At least the Marie Claire, the wittiest and most fun murder party you've ever been invited to. I'll go with that one. That one's, I love the New York Times, but this little blurb here, I feel a little bit of rage. I don't know why. And actually, writers, there's a lot of new fiction. Well, I mean, Lagos is it's a modern city. I mean, yeah, it's in West Africa. I was almost going to say East Africa, but it's draw a straight line across, and it's in West Africa. Actually, this is something I said to somebody on a stream. I don't think it was a stream of mine. Lagos is where some of the best disco on the planet from the 70s came from. And if you don't believe me, let's just go look it up. I'm going to leave you with a link. I say I'm going to leave you with a link like I'm about ready to get off here, but I'm not. I think it's a Lagos 70s, maybe. And it is, I think this might be it. I think Soundway Records is the one who's putting out a lot of this stuff. This is not the one I'm thinking of. Bandcamp. No, that's not really what I want to do. I had this thought before I went on, and I should have researched it beforehand. Chat amongst yourselves for a moment. Trying to remember the actual search term. No, don't do that. Let's do Soundway again. Well, this is not the album that I'm thinking of. But if you search for Lagos and then put disco, anything from the 70s into the early 80s, you can almost just start listening to it, and I think you're going to enjoy it. And everybody likes to take a big dump on disco, but if you go back and listen to some of that stuff, and I'm not talking about the hits, the things that everybody knows when they talk about disco, do a deeper dive into disco, and you might find magic. Sorry, there's something passing by the shed that sounds like something on two wheels that's farting across the street. Anyway, that is Lagos. That is My Sister the Serial Killer. It's been on my list of something to read, and then it went on sale at Amazon for $3.99 on Kindle, so I bought it because I've paid full price for a lot of books that I haven't read, and so I paid for that. So that's My Sister the Serial Killer. Also in the New York Times weekend books. What, I can never remember the name of it. New York Times Book Review, not to be confused with the New York Review of Books. Yeah. Just put me on mute and just look at the links of the stuff that I show you. That's probably the best way to watch this. Anyway, it's the International Antiquarian Book Fair. Is it this weekend or did it just happen? I have a great way of putting these things out there the day after. Oh yeah, the 59th edition of the book fair took place March 7 to March 10 at the Park Avenue Armory. But I saw this, and there's a lot of things. You know, there are a lot of beautiful books that had very small print runs from tiny publishing houses over the last, I almost said 200 years, like books are only 200 years old. It's even if you don't have a budget, even if you have no intention of making any kind of purchase, if a rare books book fair, antiquarian book fair, any of that kind of stuff comes to your neighborhood, just go check out some of the stuff, because there's a lot of just I don't want to say the word magic, but there's just a lot of magical stuff that has been published that even people who that's their business are constantly taken aback at the things they find. Well, not like constantly, not like, oh, there's an, there's a, it's not like that. You know what I'm talking about. They're always finding things. And one of the things that I was going to show was, I know it's New York, things there tend to be fairly larger in scale, but there's a photo here. Oh, Leaves of Grass. Don't waste your time reading that. I know as Walter White's favorite poet in Breaking Bad, but Leaves of Grass, holy, Eaves of Ass. I don't know what that means. I've talked about Walt Whitman and Leaves of Grass plenty of times, but this is a shot, overhead shot of the book fair, and I assume there's probably some stuff behind the thing. So that happened last weekend. But you know, the idea here is that just go check this stuff out. Also, if you're in a fairly large city, and you have access to a fairly large bookstore, go in. If they have a rare books room, go in there. Sometimes they're not open the same hour. Like, I'm thinking of Powell's, mostly Powell's Books in Portland. They have a rare books room. I know one person who's spent several thousands of dollars there in one visit. I don't know what I was going to say. Oh, and it's hours. You know, Powell's is open 9 in the morning to 11 at night. I think 11. But the rare books room has more business-like hours because it doesn't get as much foot traffic. It's slightly controlled access getting in there, and you know, they don't move a lot of stuff. But go look at rare books. You'll be glad you did. And, you know, who knows? You might just pull out your credit card and spend $3,000 on a book just because you have. I'm not endorsing that in any way. I'm trying to think of the most money I've ever spent on a book, and I think it's not if I spent that much money on it, it's definitely not on the ground. I think the most I've ever spent on the book is maybe $200, and I think I've only done that twice in my life. Anyway, so that was the Antiquarian book fair. And that was the Antiquarian book fair. Get off that. Solo this. Go here. Nope. leave it there. So, Watchmen. Chapter 7 is sort of, for me, it might be the most annoying of the chapters that we've seen so far, in terms of pushing the story forward. It's, Dan and Laurie are the only two of the Watchmen who are either not dead, not in exile, not in jail. Actually, Adrian Veidt is still in the open, so to speak. But it's the two of them, dancing around their awkward romance. Because, dancing around it because they both like each other, but they're not sure, it's just like a teenage romance kind of thing. And, Dan's impotent, he can't get it on unless he's, in costume, because, they're all impotent unless they're in costume. I think that's what Alan Moore might be saying. I don't know why I'm speaking like this. But Chapter 7 is largely the budding romance of Dan and Laurie bearing fruit, and sort of taking not necessarily the first step of getting the band back together, so to speak, in terms of getting the Watchmen back together, but they at least take that idea out for a spin in Dan's owl machine, his flying car. And I can't figure out if Dave Gibbons and Alan Moore are trying to make him look clowny and slightly impotent in the night owl costume and the flying car and all that stuff. But it very looks night owl. The comedian, his costume kind of looks like, he's just wanting to tear shit up and knock heads together. Night Owl kind of looks like a clowny bat, and I think that's intentional. But and we have and there's a television show that they turn on the TV, and Adrian Veidt as Ozymandias is making a public appearance at some sort of charity function, and he's doing this gymnastics routine because we all really want to tune in to a national televised event and watch a man do gymnastics as the headliner event of the charity. I was going to say charity stream. It's not a stream, it's a show. And that's really about all you have in this chapter. Except Alan Moore being an asshole to women because, Laurie wants to light her, whatever that cigarette thing she has. She accidentally, fires the flamethrower on the owl car. So, guys, don't let the women get around the instrumentation panel or your electronic stuff because they're just gonna mess it up. Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Alan Moore. We get it. 7 chapters of it. Anyway. So there's that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on in chapter 7. Here, I'll put the book down and I'll go to the full comic here. I would like to zoom out, but that will reset the Watchmen thing. Let me do this one, this one, this one, and see where that gets us. Oh, I think, is this the right one? Yeah, it is. It's the right one. Morning, children. So, Watchmen, Chapter 7. We're just going to do this pretty top-down. Laurie is staying with Dan because she's been kicked out of the military research facility where she was shacking up with Dr. Manhattan. Because he's left the planet. He's hiding out like a pussy on Mars. That's the name of my new band. Pussy on Mars. I don't know what... I was trying to think of a song title. Pussy on Mars. That's when my family back home tunes in. Just when I'm saying pussy on Mars. It's the third time I've said it. It's fun to say. Let's just say it together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I may just say it without saying it. No, we'll do it. 1, 2, 3. Pussy on Mars. I would say it rolls off the tongue, but it sort of more pops out of the mouth. Pussy on Mars pops out of the mouth. Thought I was going north, but now I'm going south. I don't know what any of that means. Is this thing on? Is this thing on? So Laurie's in the basement. Thanks, J-Man for Life. I appreciate the support. Checking out the stuff, and this is her, pushing a button and, accidentally firing the flamethrowers. Because as I said earlier, Alan Moore doesn't want us trusting a woman with the remote or the stereo. Get her away from that. Dan's upstairs making... what the hell is he making? I can't remember what he's making here. Oh, he's making coffee. Or tea, I can't remember. And realizes, there's something in the basement. Something going on. He hears Laurie scream or holler. Laurie screams. She doesn't holler. People don't holler anymore. You might give somebody a holler, but you're not going to holler at them. I don't know what I'm saying. So they sort that out, and then this is sort of Alan Moore's teenage fantasy where, the cute girl is in your room. You don't want her to touch anything, but you want to show her everything. Your cool record collection, your cool costumes. While talking about stuff that's part of a conversation that they had to have already had in the past. There's no way she didn't know that he went to Harvard for whatever it was, ornithology and whatever. She knew that before. I mean, they worked together for years. Anyway, I have a feeling that the people she finds his porn, the equivalent of his porn, a female villain scantily clad that he put away. He put her away in prison, but given his impotence, there's no way he could have done it, the other way. Well, he could. If she was in costume, she could. Dan Dreiberg, this is Alan Moore's teenage fantasy. Cute girl in your room, going through your stuff. Oh no, she found my porn. She knows that I like girls in costumes, and I know she happens to have a costume like that. Oh, what's going to happen? What could this mean? I should tell her my background. Come on. I don't know where to go with that. It's just I should just pull my pants down and take a big old crap on this book. I think that's against the terms of service of Mixer and Facebook and YouTube. But yeah. And he's also telling her about the capabilities of this thing. She has to have known the capabilities of this thing before, because she's likely been in it. She's likely done some sort of, concerted action with the Watchmen in the past where this vehicle was used. She knows all this stuff. We don't. So it's exposition and background stuff for the benefit of the reader, which is something that I don't know if there's a term for that or not. I know there's the term exposition, but I think exposition, I'll look this up later. There's exposition that, it happens, it drives the story forward, it lets people know stuff, but there's also exposition that in the real world of this story would not happen. These people either know this stuff already because they've had the conversation before, or they've experienced it. They just know it, and it's just for the benefit of the user. And, David Mamet would put his foot down on that. Hi, Juice Wayne. Thanks for hosting us. Good to see you on a Sunday morning. We're just going through really quickly here. Watchmen Chapter 7. And I think I've said just about, all there is to say about this. It's, she discovers his cave and, he's cataloging all this stuff that his stuff does. It's like, it's like, oh, here's my record collection. Here's my comic books. Here's my porn. I don't know why I'm talking like this. And they get a little. There's a little romantic interlude, but Dan has his hang-ups, so they don't complete the romantic mission that they set out on until they go out and rescue. I'm a little behind here. Until they go out and rescue... I'm going to skip that Ozymandias gymnastics routine. It's not until they go out and rescue the people in the burning building, and Dan has his dream of... Dan has his dream of having sex with the... I can't remember what the villainess his name is, but it's clear that he's having a dream about Laurie. And, I know from my days of dating and everything, when I've just woken up from a dream, wet or otherwise, and, that dream speaks to me in some way, I like to go put on a costume and go drive around my weaponized vehicle. Just taking a stroll around town in the middle of the night. Maybe I'll get a hot dog somewhere. Maybe Laurie will get a hot dog. I don't know. I'm just riffing on this. That's what I used to do when I was 17. Emotionally and still 35. Just drive around my weaponized vehicle looking for hot dogs and donuts and, maybe a late night ramen place. I'm not going to talk to the person that I couldn't have sex with. I'm going to put on a costume and go find trouble. I'm going to go find trouble. I don't know what that was. So yeah, they go out and a hot dog and a donut and a late night ramen place, because they have noodles in those too. Dan Dryberg, I can't speak. I need to do a bunch of sit-ups. He could do some crunches. He's a little bit out of shape. But it's not until they go out and save these people in the burning building that, the blood is stirred. There's a line from summons up. There's a line from Richard I think it's Richard III that I'm thinking of. Stiffens the sinews and summons up the blood. Nothing does that quite like rescuing people. And then they get down and dirty in the vehicle. And there's a line here that said that I just there was something that she says while while I think they're naked, that I was just sort of like, okay, thanks, Alan. Let's see. I guess I'm not seeing it. Dan, was tonight good? Did you like it? Did the costumes make it good? And then he's, of course, distant, because he's thinking, like, I wonder if there's, like, any pizza left over in the fridge. Hot dogs and hang-ups is a bar idea. So we have Pussy on Mars is the name of a new band, and Hot Dogs and Hang-Ups is the name of a bar. Actually, Pussy on Mars is the place where, sorry, Hot Dogs and Hang-Ups is where Pussy on Mars is playing their first show. Just, I don't know what I'm talking about. And then we get into the text part of the thing, which is a paper written by Dan Dreiberg, sort of exploring and explaining his background and why he, a little bit of why he is who he is. And I think about the only interesting thing I take from it is the very last line. Trying to figure out how to set this up to really talk about it, and just realizing I read this 20 minutes before we went live. I've done that 2 weeks in a row, and I shouldn't do that, because that's a bad host. That's a bad streaming host and a bad book club host, and it just gets you all hot and bothered for some deep book club talk, and then I'm like, I don't know. I just read this 20 minutes ago, and then you're like, but Big Ed, I was about to come. Sorry. I should probably stop the stream there and just give everybody a few minutes to calm down. Oh, hi, Aunt Diane. How are you? No, I'm kidding. Actually, I should go over to Facebook here for a second. Let me get off here. Let me go solo on this and throw that up. I'm just going to go look at something. The aggregated chat tells me when people join. Tells me when people communicate with me and host me on Mixer. But on Facebook, it doesn't give me any of those things. Hi, Diane Fisher. When I say Aunt Diane Fisher, you are not Aunt Diane. But I feel that you're close enough to my heart that you could be an aunt. To me. I'm sure you might be an aunt in real life. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know anything about genealogy. Some people's, genealogy looks like a tree. Some people's genealogy looks like a pole. I think they're the Genealogical Association. I think that's their motto. Some people are from a family tree. Some people are just from a pole. It's about incest and inbreeding, and the branching of the family. You know what I'm talking about. I feel like we should just do a stream of just promos of streamers hyping their streams like they were wrestlers. I'm gonna play Fortnite tonight. I'm gonna play Fortnite tonight, and I'm gonna do some sniping, and I'm gonna build a little clubhouse that somebody's gonna blow up with a rocket, but I'm gonna come through with my rifle, with my scope, and my hope to blow somebody's head off in this battle royal. I don't know where to go. Improvisation, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, just I've not had a drink. I've not had a sip of this. Oh, the Howard Dean screen. I almost want to look it up, because in my head, I can see him doing it. And I think when he's doing the scream, his elbows and his shoulders are scrunched up to produce that scream. In my head, I can see it and I can hear it. I kind of want to look it up, but I kind of don't want to ruin my memory of it. Which reminds me of some experiences in my life. Sometimes, you go back to a place you haven't been. What you gonna do, brothers, when Fortnite runs wild on you? Well, I'm going to take out my blueprint and I'm going to build 4 walls out of wood. No, I mean, what are you going to do when the man comes for you? Well, I mean, I could build a ramp at a 45-degree angle and then a platform on top. I think J-Man just gave me the seed of a sketch that needs to be written and performed. I didn't realize the top of my head's getting cut off. Is that... Here, I'm just going to slump. I'm just going to just stream like this sometime. Hey, yeah, thanks for the host. Yeah, we're talking about, we're just talking about some books here, and you just sort of, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm clearly done talking about Watchmen, except for the last bit. Where we have, and I really don't know why I have to go all the way back over here for this, because I think this last section here, we end with a piece from the book of Job. Yeah, there we go. I am a brother to dragons and a companion to owls. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. Is Alan Moore trying to get us to think that Dan Dreiberg is the equivalent of Job? Because I don't think Dan Dreiberg's been nearly through enough shit to be compared to Job. I don't think any of the Watchmen have been through, maybe Dr. Manhattan. He's kind of been through some shit. But I don't think any of them are really, similar to Job. You got to go through a little bit more. My throat now hurts from doing that. What do you got? So yeah, Watchmen chapter 7. That's all I got. What do you got? I'm picking at this like I'm nervous. I don't know what to say. You all found my room, and these are the things that I like to play with, and girls can't touch them. Sorry, that's me riffing on Alan Moore, and anyway, if you just joined and you have no idea what I'm doing, neither do I. All right, folks, that's about the hour mark. I think that's where we're going to close it today. I don't know if I haven't seen What's the Hops join on Mixer. I don't know if they're getting ready to. Actually, I guess I could just let me go over here and look at something. See if What's the Hops has gone live. Mixtifer's gone live. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he does. Didn't know if he streamed normally. I would say being obliterated and then putting yourself back together atom by atom in sheer defiance of God's will is a better suffering story than Job. I think that pretty much, yeah. I think if there's anybody in the Watchmen who is comparable to Job, I think Dr. Manhattan is it. So I don't know if What's the Hops is, Goldie, do you know if they're streaming? I still don't know, Goldie. I still don't know if all of you are still living in the same religious sexual compound out there in Texas. So I don't know if you would know if What's the Hops, the two of them are streaming today. But if you do know, just let me know in chat there. All right. I'm going to call it there. I will find somebody to host. I'm sure you can go watch whoever you like on Mixer as well, because people do that. You can watch who you like. They are. I'm just over here sipping my tea. Wait. Juice Wayne, are you also a party that's inhabiting that religious sex slave compound that Goldie and Bear and those folks are the high priests and priestesses of? If you are, whisper me whether you need to be rescued or you'd like some sort of outside intervention there. Because I don't know. I've never been a member of a sex cult, religious or otherwise. So I don't quite know what goes on there. But if you need a hand in being rescued, just let me know. If you need a hand in another way, well, I mean, you're amongst a bunch of sex slaves. I shouldn't joke about that. Yes, that brothel. There are some who call me the Bear. Okay, that's the funny thing about streaming is there are people. I only know their stream name. I have no idea what their real name is, and there are moments where that's just sort of it's a little inconvenient, but for the most part, it's kind of fun. Juice Wayne, I had no idea that you were the Bear, which means that that take on Job is definitely something that I can hear and see the Bear saying. Anyway, they've got some busted ass sex cult do not want. So now that now you know that my real name is Juice Wayne. Please don't dox. Are you the Juice Wayne down there on the Juicery Center Station? Where they make all the juice. Do you work down there at the Juicery? All right, folks. I'm going to cut it there. Cole and I will be back on Thursday night with Old Fashioned Thursday, and I think for the first time we're actually going to make some old fashions, which I know is probably going to ruffle a few feathers because I don't put any damn macerated cherry in my old fashioned. And you're just going to have to live with it. You know who you are. You know who you are that's going to have a problem with that. Anyway, folks, thank you for joining. Thank you, Goldie. Thank you, The Bear. Thank you, J-Man for Life. Thank you, Randy Knickers. Thank you, Amy Adams. Thank you, Diane Fisher. Thank you, somebody else joined in there. I said Randy Knickers. That's it. Well, let me see what this last message is here. I'm actually a DJ. Sounds like a newfangled old-fashioned. It's not really. It's just it's mostly just rye in a glass. No, I'm kidding. And I'll also tell the story about how my dad let me believe for 20 years that an old-fashioned was bourbon and Coke. I don't know what the point of him making me think that is. I mean, whatever secret or whatever agenda that was on, he took to his grave. But my dad let me think an old-fashioned, maybe he just didn't know. But for him, an old-fashioned was bourbon and Coke. All right, folks, I'm going to hop on over to What's the Hops whenever they kick it up. I'm Big Ed Barnum. I thank you very much.